The American dream is dead, or is it just different for millennials? How many of you feel like the American dream is slipping further and further out of reach, no matter how hard you hustle? Maybe you've seen those old-timey ads from the 1950s. Happy families in front of a shiny new home, dad pulling up in a big car, mom setting the dinner table, a couple of kids playing in the yard. Fast forward to today, and that dream has taken a serious hit. Especially if you're a millennial. It's not just a feeling, it's the reality for millions of us. We're putting in the work, managing side hustles, trying to save, but something just isn't adding up. While previous generations were hitting financial milestones by our age, many of us are still struggling to rent, let alone own a home or pay off student loans, not to mention saving for the future.
What is the American dream? If you're like most people, you picture a single family home with a white picket fence and 2.5 kids and a dog. That is not an accident. That dream is the result of decades of marketing. Most people in the world do not live in single family homes like we do in America. And yet we believe this is the only measure of success.
In fairness, I've lived in apartments, I've lived in multifamily, I've lived in single family. There is something nice about having your own space, having your own yard, not sharing a wall. Does that mean I wouldn't go back to living in a duplex? No, but I also like privacy. And so for single family homes, I get the appeal.
In this video, we're going to dig deep into why that's happening. We'll break down how millennials are getting caught in endless cycles of rent and debt, why only a tiny percentage can afford that luxury lifestyle we see plastered all over social media, and why for many of us, the American dream has turned into a survival game. But here's the thing, it's not all doom and gloom. We'll also look at how our generation is reimagining the American dream. The white picket fence may not be realistic for everyone anymore, but maybe that's not the only way to live a fulfilling, financially stable life. By the end, you'll hopefully see that the dream may look different now, but it's still out there, just waiting to be redefined. Let's face it, millennials grew up with the promise that hard work, college degrees, and smart choices would lead to financial freedom. But the reality is that it's a much tougher climb than we were led to believe. One of the biggest barriers is student debt. Unlike previous generations, we've been hit hard by skyrocketing tuition costs, leaving many millennials with student loans that weigh heavily on monthly budgets. The idea was simple: invest in education, secure a good job, and enjoy financial stability. Yet for millions, loan payments are eating into paychecks, making it tough to save for anything beyond the next bill.
What happens when we rent a home sometimes, we don't take into account the big picture of what's happening because we're only worried about that monthly rent that's due. So let's say you're paying $2,000 a month to your landlord. In over a year, you've paid your landlord $24,000. In 2 years, that's $48,000. 10 years, that is $240,000.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. And at any point, your landlord can tell you, you know, I'm going to sell.
And the crazy thing is, it's always scary. I totally understand. It's always scary when it's your first time. But I've never met a homeowner that said, I wish I was renting.
I recently closed on a home this year. I remember distinctly them telling me that they're grateful that they don't have to worry and live their lives one lease at a time anymore.
Then there's the rent trap. Housing costs have exploded, especially in cities where most of the job opportunities are. While wages have inched up, rent prices have soared, trapping millennials in cycles where they're paying huge portions of their income just to keep a roof overhead. With rent so high, saving for a down payment on a house is nearly impossible for many, locking them out of homeownership, the ultimate symbol of the American dream. All of this creates a cycle: paying off debt, staying afloat with credit, and having little left to save. Financial independence feels more like a mirage than a reachable goal. So why does it feel like only a tiny slice of people are truly living the dream? For most millennials, the answer lies in the growing divide between those who can afford luxury and the majority who are barely getting by. Let's break down what's driving this gap. First, there's income inequality. While average wages have barely budged in recent decades, the cost of living has surged. At the same time, wealth is increasingly concentrated at the top. A small percentage of high earners are enjoying financial perks like home ownership, investments, and luxury lifestyles that are out of reach for most. This disparity makes it easy to feel like we're stuck watching a game that only a few can play.
You have to remember that social media is all just a highlight reel. People are choosing what they want you to see. They want to show you they went on that vacation. They want to show you that they bought that new car, that they got that new watch or went to that place. They're having you see their life through their lens, but you don't know what's actually going on. You don't know what's actually going on in their head or what they may be going through. So always remember when you're scrolling through the posts and the videos, because comparison is the thief of joy. We know this. So it's a highlight reel. It's all an illusion.
Then there's the illusion of social media. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok make it look like everyone is out there living their best life, traveling, dining out, buying new cars, you name it. But here's the reality. A lot of that luxury is staged, financed on credit, or enjoyed by a tiny percentage who can afford it. For most, it's just not a sustainable reality. Yet the pressure to keep up can lead people deeper into debt, trying to maintain appearances. Finally, limited access to wealth-building tools like real estate and stock investments further widens the divide. High costs make it hard to invest in assets that typically generate wealth over time. Many millennials are forced to rent rather than buy or work paycheck to paycheck without the extra income to invest. In short, while a small group thrives, the rest are left navigating a system where financial security feels just out of reach. For many millennials, the American dream is more of a story we grew up with than a realistic goal. How debt and rent traps create a life on hold. For many millennials, the American dream feels like a life on pause. Debt and high rent are major culprits, keeping people stuck in a cycle that delays or even prevents the traditional milestones that earlier generations took for granted: homeownership, marriage, having children, and financial independence. Let's talk about financial paralysis. With monthly student loan payments, rent, and credit card bills, there's often little left to save or invest. This cycle not only keeps people from building wealth, but also limits their ability to plan for the future. You can't think about buying a house, for example, when you're already spending nearly half of your income on rent and another chunk on loan payments.
Frankly, people are getting married too late on average. Right now, I think it's 28 for men and 26 for women. That's way too late. Change in your life is sort of a reverse exponential curve, right? You change a lot the younger you are, and then it kind of diminishing returns.
Right.
So the sweet spot to get married is probably as the curve is here, before you get to the full diminishing returns, because you can still mold and adapt to each other and your habits. I think this is a huge mistake society has made. I think
This leads to delayed life milestones. Many millennials are hitting these later than previous generations, if at all. The average age for homeownership, marriage, and even starting a family has steadily risen. In fact, nearly half of millennials are renting longer than they would like, waiting for an opportunity to buy. But with home prices consistently climbing, they're often forced to put these dreams on hold. The rent versus own dilemma comes with a major psychological toll. Renting can feel like pouring money into a black hole. No equity, no long-term gain, just a constant drain on income. Older generations often built wealth through real estate, as home values rose and provided them with a safety net. Millennials, on the other hand, find themselves paying more just to keep a roof over their heads without the benefits of ownership. This cycle of renting and debt creates a reality where saving feels almost impossible, forcing many to rethink what they want out of life. Instead of dreaming about a future with financial security, millennials are focusing on just getting through the month. It's no wonder so many feel like they're stuck in place, unable to move forward and pursue their goals. The new American dream. In the face of financial hurdles, many millennials are redefining what it means to live the American dream. For this generation, success is shifting away from material possessions towards something more attainable: financial freedom, stability, and meaningful experiences over a luxury lifestyle. One aspect of this shift is rethinking success itself. With traditional goals like homeownership seeming out of reach, millennials are focusing on creating a life that's sustainable and fulfilling. Rather than aiming for large houses or fancy cars, many are valuing flexibility, minimalism, and experiences over things. This might mean choosing smaller homes, exploring remote work, or traveling light, decisions that ease the financial burden without sacrificing happiness. Minimalism and enough have become guiding principles. Millennials are embracing the idea that having fewer possessions and a simpler lifestyle can actually lead to greater freedom. With less financial pressure, they can enjoy more of the things they love without the stress of maintaining a luxurious image.
What's the best side hustle for a student to get rich?
Well, here are 3 great side hustles you can start today as a student. First is faceless short-form content This is Daniel Bitton, who makes over $500,000 a month posting viral content. Second is reselling luxury items. This is Ben Gallagher, who makes over $300,000 a month reselling luxury items to the masses. Third is online coaching. This is Jack Jefferson, who makes over $10,000 a month helping people with their gym gains.
Many are also pursuing alternative paths to financial security. Side hustles, freelancing, and even digital nomadism have become popular, giving millennials more control over their time and income. This isn't about rejecting the American dream entirely. It's about creating a version that fits today's economic reality. So, is the American dream dead? Not exactly. For millennials, it's evolving. The traditional path may no longer be realistic, but that doesn't mean a fulfilling life is out of reach. Instead of following the old blueprint, millennials are carving out a new American dream, focused on freedom, flexibility, and personal fulfillment. Sure, it's different, but maybe that's exactly what it takes to thrive in today's world. The dream isn't dead, it's just finding a new way to survive. If this resonates with you, let's keep this conversation going. What does your version of the American dream look like? Are you rethinking traditional goals, or are you finding ways to make them work in today's world? Let's build our own path to success together.